In the sprawling markets of Tokyo, Berlin, and Dubai, a subtle but seismic shift is unfolding. The once unquestioned dominance of American beef, long a staple on global dinner tables, is faltering. Containers of U.S. beef, 150,000 tons in the first half of 2025 alone, are being turned away by discerning international buyers. Meanwhile, Canada, the unassuming neighbor to the north, is stepping into the spotlight, securing multi-billion-dollar contracts with premium markets like Japan, Germany, and the UAE. This isn't just a story about meat, it's a tale of trust, transparency, and a changing global order, one where quality and credibility are rewriting the rules of trade. As American beef faces rejection, Canadian farms are entering a golden age, raising questions about the deeper cracks in the agricultural and commercial standing of a superpower. What's driving this shift, and what does it mean for the future of North American trade? For decades, the Made in USA label was a golden ticket. American beef, red, plump, and tender, was the pride of ranches from Texas to Nebraska, gracing the menus of high-end restaurants and the shelves of supermarkets worldwide. It was the default choice, a symbol of reliability and abundance. The United States, with its vast industrialized agricultural system, churned out beef at a scale that seemed untouchable. But in 2025, that narrative is unraveling. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, over 150,000 tons of American beef were rejected by international markets in just 6 months. Japan, the European Union, South Korea, and the UAE, long-standing customers, have sent back shipments, citing concerns over quality, production standards, and traceability. The reasons are as practical as they are profound. Residues of the growth hormone ractopamine, banned in many premium markets, microbial contamination, and a lack of clear documentation tracing the meat from farm to table. Nearly 32% of U.S. beef containers exported in the first quarter faced technical issues or outright rejection, a figure unprecedented in the past 2 decades. This isn't a minor hiccup. Each returned container carries a steep cost, up to $80,000 per 20-ton shipment, factoring in two-way shipping, refrigerated storage, taxes, and importer penalties. With 150,000 tons rejected, the financial toll exceeds $500 million, a staggering blow to an industry already grappling with domestic oversupply. But the damage goes beyond dollars. It's a bruise to the brand, a crack in the confidence that once made Made in USA synonymous with excellence. Global consumers armed with QR codes and a growing appetite for transparency are no longer swayed by reputation alone. They want hormone-free beef raised slowly with every step of its journey documented. When they scan a package and find no clear origin, no assurance of chemical-free production, or an ambiguous expiration date, they put it back on the shelf. This isn't just a rejection of meat, it's a rejection of carelessness, of opaque systems, and of a once unshakable trust in American standards. Across the border, Canada is quietly rewriting the story. While U.S. plants in Texas and Nebraska suspend exports, Canadian farms are thriving, buoyed by strict standards, a reputable brand, and an unwavering commitment to trust. Canadian beef exports surged by 68% in the first half of 2025, reaching a value of over $1.3 billion, according to the Canadian Agri-Food Export Agency. Japan, once a stronghold for U.S. beef, now sources 48% more Canadian beef than last year. South Korea, where the U.S. once dominated, has shifted 27% of its market share to Canada, drawn by hormone-free standards and full traceability. In premium markets like the UAE, Singapore, and Germany, Canadian beef is prioritized for its adherence to rigorous cleanliness and ethical standards.
I don't need to know where the beef comes from. The Canada beef label is enough to make me trust it.
What's behind this Canadian ascent? It's not about flashy marketing or Hollywood-style branding. Canada's success lies in its methodical, almost understated approach. Cattle are raised for 28 to 30 months without growth hormones, fed on pasture rather than industrial feed, and tracked meticulously from birth to packaging. A sirloin steak in Tokyo can be traced back to an Alberta farm, revealing what the cow ate last winter and how it was processed. This transparency isn't just a selling point, it's a promise kept, a quiet nod to consumers who value integrity over spectacle. Canada's clean cattle farming model, coupled with flexible export policies under agreements like the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, and the EU-Canada Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, has positioned it as a trusted partner in a world increasingly skeptical of industrial agriculture. The contrast with the U.S. is stark. America's beef industry, built on scale and efficiency, has prioritized volume over precision. The use of growth hormones like ractopamine, while legal in the U.S., is a deal-breaker in markets like the EU and Japan, where consumer health concerns reign supreme. Traceability, too, has become a stumbling block. In an era where a coffee bean's journey can be mapped from soil to cup, the inability to pinpoint a cow's origin in Nebraska or Kansas feels outdated. The U.S. has the technology and resources to meet these standards, but its industrial model, geared towards speed and cost efficiency, has left it lagging in a market that now demands ethics and transparency.
As one Calgary export director put it, half smiling, "We used to be the tea makers at the global beef party. Now we're pouring the wine."
This shift isn't just about consumer preferences, it's deeply tied to trade policy. In 2017, the U.S. withdrew from the CPTPP, a trade agreement covering over 13% of global GDP. Canada stayed, reaping the benefits of tariff-free access to markets like Japan, where a shipment of Alberta beef faces 30% less import duty than its Texan counterpart. The U.S. has also imposed tariffs on imported goods like aluminum and steel, prompting retaliatory measures from partners like China, which slashed purchases of American soybeans and beef, and the EU, which turned to Canada, Australia, and Brazil. According to a BCG report, U.S. tariffs have caused 3 times the damage of the value they aim to protect. Protectionism, intended to shield domestic industries, has instead weakened the global supply chain, pushing customers into the arms of more open and adaptable nations.
An Ontario rancher quipped, "The U.S. chose to sit out the game. We just picked up the pieces they dropped and kept playing."
The fallout is palpable. In July 2025, 3 of the largest meat processing plants in Nebraska, Texas, and Kansas announced a 40% reduction in capacity, the first such cut since the COVID-19 crisis. Cold storage facilities in major agricultural states are at 98% capacity, with containers of beef languishing at ports, unable to clear customs. The domestic market, flooded with surplus, has seen prices drop by 25 to 30% in some supermarket chains, a temporary boon for consumers, but a disaster for farmers. Purchase prices at the farm gate have fallen below the cost of raising cattle, squeezing producers and workers alike. The United Food and Commercial Workers Union estimates that 18,000 meatpacking workers in the central U.S. face job losses in 2025.
A 52-year-old foreman in Nebraska captured the despair. "We make meat for the whole world, but the world doesn't want it anymore, and our country doesn't know where to hide it."
The ripple effects extend beyond the beef industry. Truck drivers sit idle, with no goods to transport. Processing plants are scaling back as contracts dry up. Domestic consumers facing unchanged incomes are shifting to cheaper proteins like chicken, putting pressure on the entire protein supply chain. It's a gray nightmare for an industry that once dreamed in red meat. Meanwhile, Canada's approach, targeted, transparent, and aligned with global standards, has avoided such chaos. There's no surplus piling up, no panic-driven price cuts. Canadian beef is sought after like a luxury good, ordered months in advance by Michelin-starred chefs and discerning retailers. It's not just about meeting demand, it's about meeting expectations. This divergence raises a broader question: what does quality mean in today's global market? For beef, it's no longer just about tenderness or fat content. It's about a story, a traceable, ethical, hormone-free journey from pasture to plate. Canada has embraced this shift, aligning with international standards and letting the market judge its merits. The U.S., by contrast, often resists these standards, dismissing them as unfair or overly rigid. But consumers don't care about complaints, they care about results. If you're choosing meat for your family, would you pick a package with an unknown origin, or one with a clear, documented story, even if it costs a bit more? In 2025, that choice is reshaping trade flows. The U.S. and Canada, sharing the world's longest border, are agricultural superpowers with a shared continent but divergent paths. The U.S. has doubled down on protectionism, imposing tariffs and prioritizing national autonomy. Canada has leaned into global connections, adhering to international standards and negotiating softly but effectively. One strides in military boots, the other walks lightly in leather shoes. According to Investopedia, the damage from U.S. protectionist policies over the past 5 years is 75 times higher than the jobs they've protected. Canada, with its model of soft power, is emerging as the West's reliable commercial face, particularly in high-end markets. It doesn't chase global dominance or boast large processing conglomerates. Instead, it offers consistency, humility, and quality. A craftsman's approach in a world that values trust over volume. This isn't just a story of beef, it's a story of reputation. A rejected container isn't just a loss of goods, it's a loss of faith. A signal that the Made in USA guarantee no longer holds the weight it once did. Conversely, every Canadian steak welcomed in Tokyo or Doha is a testament to kept promises. In an era where sustainability trumps speed and transparency outshines grand claims, Canada's quiet persistence is paying off. The future of North American trade may not hinge on who shouts loudest but on who earns trust. As consumers, farmers, and traders, we're left to ponder, what makes a product or a nation trustworthy? Is it scale and power, or is it reliability and care? The global market is answering, one bite at a time. The question now is whether the U.S. can learn from its northern neighbor. Can it adapt to a world that demands transparency and ethics over sheer volume? Or will it continue to build walls only to find its customers walking through someone else's door? For Canada, this moment is more than a fleeting opportunity. It's a chance to redefine North America's role in global trade. As the world hungers for trust, a quiet nod from a Canadian farmer may carry more weight than a rallying cry to make beef great again. What do you think is truly shaping the future of trade? Is it the loudest voice or the steadiest hand? In a world of choices, what makes you trust a product or a country?